Welcome to School of PE podcast. I'm your host, Chris Miller, and I'm so glad that you could join me this week. We are going to discuss topics about FE, PE, and SC, and we're also going to answer questions that will help students prepare for their exams. Let's get started. Hello, everyone, and welcome back to the School of PE's weekly podcast. My name is Chris Miller. Glad to be back with you. And I'm excited today because I got a return guest for round number 2, Mr. Mike Villarosa. Welcome, Mike.
Thanks, Chris. Thanks for having me on today. Looking forward to it.
It looks like you have a little bit of a better weather going on where you're at.
Yeah, sunny day. Rain is supposed to be coming tomorrow, but I'm here in New York in Orange County again, and yeah, weather's beautiful. I'm outside right now, like I said, getting an oil change. So I'm at a picnic table and ready to talk about some PE.
Well, that's just like an engineer, always prepared, right?
Exactly.
So how's it been out in New York? Pretty hot and muggy lately, or no?
Yeah, it's been really hot. Like 90s. 2 weeks ago was like almost unbearable and humid. So, but
well, yeah, it's been
last week. So
yeah, it's been like that out here in Columbus too. It's been a little hot and humid. I was out in LA 2 weeks ago, and holy cow, man, it was like 92 degrees. I was like, what the heck is this? So
like
didn't keep me from getting my In-N-Out burger though. So
there you go.
So now this is your second time back, and we kind of got to know you last time. So we'll kind of go a different route today and see where it takes us. One thing I kind of want to tackle is when I first started doing the podcast, one of the topics that I did when I was flying solo was I was talking about the upcoming changes to the civil exam, how I was moving to computer-based from paper and pencil. But at that time, there wasn't a whole lot of information available. And since then, NCEES has released a handbook, and so at least you know what the reference handbook's like, and a little more clear than it is, that it was about a month or two ago. Have you had any experience with any of the computer-based format? I mean, when you took the FE, was it computer-based or was it paper pencil?
No, when I took the FE, it was paper and pencil, and the only computer-based experience I have is from an old, when I was in I was in college, GRE.
Okay.
Trying to grab that here, but that's about it at a Pearson Center. But I looked at the manual for NCEES on what the questions would be. Seems pretty similar in terms of civil. Now they give a range instead of being, say, 4 hydraulics questions. Now it might be 4 to 6 or 3 to 5 instead of 4. So it's still within the range, but now instead of giving an exact number, they're just giving a range. The biggest difference, I think, is going to be the open book versus a handbook. Being able to bring all your own resources, your own notes, the school PE notes, for example, and now being given just that single handbook, how the FE is. It's going to be a challenge.
Right, Oh, I agree. And, a lot of people have asked me, hey, is it going to be harder? Is it going to be easier? And my answer is I don't have a clue. But, I remember when I was in college or even back in high school, they used to give open book versus closed book. Sometimes the teacher would be like, hey, we're going to make this book, this exam an open book. And everyone gets all excited. I'm like, why are you guys getting excited? I said, it's probably going to be harder than the paper and pencil would, or the closed book would be, because, the professor's like, well, you have everything in front of you. So why wouldn't the questions be harder? So also I find when something's like an open book exam, even like how the civil is now, time management, I think, becomes a bigger issue because I've seen people take in suitcases full of books into these PE exams, and I'm always like, well, how do you get through them and navigate? So I think, paper pencil is great, open book is great, but I think time management is a pretty big part of that too, because you have so many resources that you think you can go through all of them.
Yeah, that's one of the biggest. How should I organize my references? And I used to try to give ideas of what references I brought, and then I started to realize that students are starting to just rely on these references, and you got to remember that it's still a test. Take the test and use the references as needed. If you need to look up an equation, you don't need to memorize the equation or conversions, but use it just as a reference material, not as looking at every question and jumping right into a textbook. Yeah, exactly. You lose a lot of time, and you'll pretty much run out of time, guaranteed.
Oh, absolutely. And I also found too, like when I take open book exams too, is like you find yourself maybe spending more time on questions because you're trying to get every single question right. And nothing's changed. The scoring is the same whether it's open or not.
Right.
I think people's approaches change differently. So if I were to say, hey, Mike, you're going to go take this PE exam in April, it's closed book. How's your approach going to change from if it was open book open book and paper and pencil?
The FE, the biggest thing I took away from the FE from college professors and people that I talked to was practice with that handbook and get familiar with the handbook. So the same thing with PE exam. Now you're going to have the handbook, practice with the handbook, know what's in there, and know what's not. And anything that's not in there, they're probably not gonna ask you a crazy equation about a, say, wastewater treatment plant where the equation is not in the reference book. If it's not in the reference book, they're not gonna probably ask about something so far-fetched that only one place in the world has. Whereas on the PE exam now, they could ask that.
All right, yeah. So I'm excited to see what happens after the October exam. I think a lot of changes are coming, but at least the syllabus has stayed the same, so topics are the same. But it is nice to see that the reference handbook came out. So I'm sure a lot of students will take it into the October exam with them as well. May as well, since you can add that to the suitcase. And it's a good resource, has equation figures and tables and things like that. So that was one of the things I wanted to kind of touch on, is just letting people know that it is coming. There has been a little bit more information about the PE exam changing to CBT. So I just want to kind of share those thoughts. So we're halfway through the summer. At least in my book. Hopefully the weather starts cooling off. Anything new going on in Orange County?
No, we're finishing up the bridge construction projects. We're about to start another one. The next one that we're actually starting in August is in my hometown, so it's close to home, right down the street from me. But two of the abutments it's in the village setting, so both abutments are buildings. So it's going to be a challenge. It'll be interesting construction, interesting approach with traffic control. Other than that, we're paving. We're about halfway through our paving season. As you know, I work at Orange County DPW civil engineer. I teach water resources, but I'm on the transportation end of my full-time career. And my part-time career with school PE is with water resources. So full-time in transportation, we are paving. We're doing some guide rail projects. We had a bunch of traffic light emergencies this morning, so malfunctions, but we're working through that.
Yeah, nothing worse than a traffic light that is not working.
yeah, it's all fine. It's all fine.
Gotta
stay cool.
I always find it funny, like, everywhere you go, you see four-way stops, right? 4 stop signs. You have 4 cars sitting there. Everyone knows pretty much what to do, right? When it's your turn, when it's their turn, so on and so forth. But you come to an intersection with stoplight where the red's blinking because it's now essentially a stop sign for now. Nobody in the world knows what to do. So I don't know if it's because the word stop's not there. It's just they see this blinking light and they don't have a clue what to do. So I'm always kind of a laugh when I see them. Like, well, it's no different than a stop sign.
Right. Exactly. It's supposed to be a better visual for people to stop safer. But sometimes
agree. Right. So, as far as School of PE goes, it's, our session's getting ready to start here for people that are getting ready to take the October exam. Classes are beginning here in about 2 weeks or so. So I know you're lined up for some fall session classes with us as well. The on-sites you used to teach for us as well. We've talked about you going from New York to California and back. Well, obviously back because you have to get home. But, you taught out there. You've taught some other locations for us. And then when COVID came last year, it kind of wiped out the on-site. So, what have you learned in the basically year and a half when it comes to online learning? Have you, you've taught both. So, what used to be kind of an unknown, or what a lot of people were kind of nervous about, has become a norm. So can you kind of talk about some of the experiences you've learned doing the online?
I've learned online is terrible. I got over the winter, I got I don't even know what it's called, but a manuscript thing that plug into my computer and I can write on. It's like a little pad.
Right.
Stylus, I guess it's a stylus to help me with my handwriting. The first time I ever taught it, I was trying to use a mouse. That was a disaster. And now we have Teams meetings. We have meetings like this. This is like a regular thing between work, school, PE. At my work, we still aren't having anybody in the building. We're even trying to have still Teams meetings and virtual meetings just within amongst office staff when we can, to keep people separated. But the biggest thing that I've learned is that people are able to adapt. They're able to adjust. So when you think about even the PE exam going from paper and pencil to computer based, of course it's going to be new at first, just like everything virtual and at work was new at first, and now it's already starting to become second nature. At first it was, I have to have a meeting with the person downstairs online, and now it's, of course I'm going to have the meeting down with the person downstairs online. Why would I even want to leave my desk? I could just sit in my office and
So let's take a short break here and let's see if we can't get Mr. Villarosa back on the line. So I'll be back in 2 shakes. Thanks, guys. See you in a few. All right, folks, looks like we got him back from the unknown. So welcome back, Mr. Villarosa.
Thanks. Yes, I was just saying that, yeah, we are used to the technology changes. Like you said, this is a pretty easy transition, even though I got cut out, right back to it. And what I was saying was that going from the computer-based exam to the pencil, from the pencil and paper to the computer-based exam, seems like a huge change right now, just like technology was a big change during COVID. But now it's second nature. And I think in 5 years, we're not even going to be talking about how to take the computer-based exam. We're going to be so used to it that the paper and pencil is going to be a thing of the past. Similar to when one of my older bosses took the PE exam, he was given only 10 questions. And he had to do it. They had to show his work. He was graded on his work, and he had to do 4 out of the 10 questions. Now, when I hear that, don't even think twice about it. I just say, oh no, the test now is multiple choice, and it's paper and pencil, and that's it. So I think in 5 years or even less, the computer-based will just be second nature, and that's all everybody will know.
I'm with you on that. And, I think when it comes to just about anything, change is scary, right? Everyone's a little bit scared of change. I was kind of, one question that I kind of wanting to answer myself is when everything went remote last year, spring of last year when COVID kind of hit big and people were scrambling to kind of see how they could perform some of the same duties and things like that, it was a mess. I mean, whether it was from the education system where, schools went online and were struggling and, companies figuring out how they can do things. But now my question is it going to be more difficult for people to reevaluate or not, maybe get back into going back into work? What's going to be the bigger challenge, learning to work away from work or getting people to come back after everyone's kind of realized that a lot of the tasks that you used to do in the office, you can do from home or from anywhere. So I think that's going to be challenging. What do you think?
Yeah, I think in the beginning, people were saying, I hate this. I don't want to work from home. Why do I have to do this? Blah, blah, blah. And now people are being told to come back to the office. I know, especially around here, we have a lot of commuters in the city. And at first they were like, this isn't going to work. It's going to go under, blah, blah, blah. And now they're being told to come back to the office and they're saying, well, I'm more productive at home. Can't I just stay at home? This is great. I don't have to commute. I don't have to travel. Most of the companies that I've talked to, they're getting their people to work more than 9 to 5 or more than their normal work hours because they're at home, they're comfortable, they're not wasting time commuting. And if they're sitting on the couch at 10 o'clock at night, they might end up checking their email and responding to a few emails or checking a financial statement or whatever type of business they're doing.
All right. So, I agree too. I actually, talking to some of the people that I work with is that you're right. Some people seem to be even more productive at home because usually 5 o'clock you leave to go home or you got somewhere else to be. So you're usually leaving pretty close to 5 o'clock. But if you're already at home, you might find yourself, oh man, I'm in the middle of something. I know it's 5 o'clock, but I'm going to keep on trucking through and maybe finish it off. So people are, working longer hours than they might be if they were in the office. So I think that's going to be a challenge. And two is also a lot of people might see it as a negative. Like, why are you bringing me back to the office? It can't be because of productivity. Because I'm just just as productive, if not more productive, from home. So that'll be interesting to see. But so you said you guys were just getting ready to complete a bridge. Is that correct?
Yeah, we're just wrapping up a bridge, and we'll be finishing that. We're actually paving it today, so that'll be getting wrapped up.
So did that project? How long ago that project begin?
That project started about right at the start of the construction season, which was around April or May,
Oh
and
wow.
it went until now. Yeah, it was a complete demo of a bridge, a full reconstruction. Took the old bridge out, changed the whole road profile. There was basically a big dip that came down into the bridge, and it was around a curve. So we raised the bridge up about 4 feet, so the whole road came up, and banked the roadway to make it a little bit safer for drivers. Put new guide rail in. Before it had just had really no guide rail whatsoever, just posts. So bring it up to snuff for county standards and federal and AASHTO standards.
Sounds good. And then you mentioned something about pavement season.
Yeah, so we pave. We have 300 miles of road in
Oh
Orange
wow.
County that we maintain, and the pavement usually lasts around 15 years, 15 to 20. So we try to pave about 15 to 20 miles because that equates to a full cycle of paving. We've paved about 10 miles already. We have about 5 to 10 to go, and we're pretty much ahead of schedule. Usually at this time of the year, on any other year, we're way behind, but we didn't do anything last year. So at the end of
Mhm.
last year, we had time where we're usually paving at the end of last year. We weren't doing anything, so we prepped everything for this year. Contracts, get contracting, get them to look at what the projects were, and they're full bore at it right now.
Oh wow, wow. So what's all involved in the whole pavement process?
What we do is we have a crew that surveys the roads, and by survey I mean they drive the roads at like 5 miles an hour. They count the cracks. Literally, they count cracks and
Oh
determine what
wow.
kind of distresses are on the road. They give a road a rating from 1 to 100, and
Oh
then
wow.
we determine the worst roads, and that's not always necessarily the ones that we pave. I know it sounds weird, but that's how we get our top priority list, and then we look at what projects are coming up. So if there's a project we hear about, a gas line, say a linear gas line being installed along the roadway, we're not going to go and pave that road and then have the gas company come in and cut it all up. So we try to play that into it. If there's say a bridge that we're looking at replacing in
Mhm.
the next 5 years, we might wait to pave that road until the bridge is complete. But that's pretty much the way we look at it. Once we started the program about 20 years ago, and now we're almost at the recycle part of where we are repaving the roads that we started with. So now it's somewhat on autopilot. Some of the roads get more damage because they have more traffic, they have more wear and tear. But other than that, we're in a pretty good spot. Our roads, compared to the rest of the state, are certainly better than the rest, and that's not me being biased.
So are there times a year when you try to get the paving done before you move into a particular season, or can you even still do it into some of the colder months?
We've paved. I've never seen it. These guys, our guys that we work with, tell me that they've been plowing us the shoulders with the paver behind it. You try not to pave in the cold weather. We try to wrap everything up by Thanksgiving, also because to be done with it, and people are taking vacations. It's getting a little bit cold. The plants also closed, the asphalt plants, so that's something to factor in. But we
Hmm.
try to start right when the weather breaks, which is usually in New York around mid-April. April
Oh, okay,
15th,
so
between April 15th and May 1st.
not bad, not bad. So we've talked about quite a few different interesting topics. We covered the PE transition, maybe how things change working remote, going back into the office. Got a little pavement discussion going in there. So as time is kind of coming to a near end for today, any last words of wisdom you'd like to leave the audience with?
No, keep studying for the PE. I texted everybody that I know who took the PE in April and wasn't successful, or who's been thinking about taking it. I told them, even though I said I don't think the computer-based is going to be a big change, I did tell them to try to pass now, because especially if they failed paper and pencil, going to the computer-based will be a big change. Anyone who's never taken it before, going on to the computer-based isn't a change, even though everyone's saying it's a change. If you've never taken it before, it's your first time. It's not a change. So if you have taken it, try to pass it this October, be done with it, and study and take school with PE.
I appreciate that, Mike. Hope to have you back again. Enjoy your day, and hopefully the oil change is complete. Have a good one, Mike.
Thanks, Chris.
All right, take care, buddy.
All right,
thanks. Bye-bye.